Hello, my name is Todd Castleline, and I'm with Strike Pro Lures. And today we're going to be talking about some existing baits that Strike Pro already has, and some of the new ones that are going to be coming out in the 2012 season. The first bait I want to talk to y'all today about is a really interesting bait. In my opinion, it's kind of a one-of-a-kind bait. There's really nothing else like it on the market. And what it's called a Strike Pro Hunchback Weight Bait. And when this thing came out, it kind of blew me away the first time I ever got to use it. One of the neat things about it is there's been some wake baits that have come out, quite a bit, and the action on this one is like nothing else. It's got a side-to-side action on it. It's just really incredible. Most of them kind of wobble on top of the water. This one actually goes through the water and goes from one side to the other, real erratic like. And I've noticed with a lot of other baits, you have to fish them fairly slow. And I don't fish very slow at all. And this is one thing I love about this bait. This thing, you can absolutely just reel it as fast as you possibly can. And that's really how I work it. And this color right here is actually one of my favorite colors. And the reason is it's kind of bright. And I've noticed with wake baits, the brighter, the crazier the color, the better they are. But it's got a little bit of a bill on it. I basically throw it on 20-pound fluorocarbon line because I like to keep it close to the surface. That way I can throw it over vegetation or anything of that matter. So I can, basically work it from about 2 to 3 inches down to right on the surface. And it's just got a really unique action. This is the larger size, and they also make a smaller size, just a little bit smaller than this. And you can stop it, and you can twitch it, you can do all that, but I've found the best and most productive way is to throw it out there and just reel it in, and reel it in as fast as you can. That seems to work on every lake I've been to, and it's really helped me out. All right, right now I'm going to go ahead and cast this bait out and kind of show y'all kind of the different things how you can work this bait and what all it can do. That's how I love to work it right there. You can reel it fast, it wakes right on top of the water, and basically you don't have to do anything. You can stop it and do things, but for the most part, I throw it out there and reel it just like that. And one of the great things about it, I'll throw it right here so you can hear it. It's got an unreal rattle that you can really hear a long ways away. So it really draws them up. That's one of the neat things about it. Now, you can stop it, you can twitch it, then you can start burning it. You can do everything you want to with this bait. And there's actually hydrilla and grass about that far underneath the surface right now. And most baits you can't throw out there. But like right there, there's all kind of grass. And you can go right on top of it, and you'll never get hung. You don't have to worry about getting hung up. It's one of the only baits you can throw out there that's not even at top water, or you can kind of get it down underneath the water just a ways. This is actually my favorite color to throw, although right now we're in production of some new colors I've helped Strike Pro design, and they're going to be coming out in the 2012 year. So we're kind of really excited about waiting to see what those colors look like, and it's going to be really an exciting time for Strike Pro. One of the neat things about this Hunchback wake bait is the design features on it. Strike Pro has come up with a totally new design that's basically theirs. It's patented, and what you see on a lot of other wake baits is you see a big bulky body, and it'll be almost all of them are fat, they're big and everything, and they just they go against the water. This thing actually glides through the water. That's why you can kind of see it go through there, which creates that more unique wake. And it's slimmer. It's got a very slim design for it, and it's just the design on it's just so much different than other ones, and so much better because it actually moves through the water where other ones actually push against the water trying to make the wake. This one runs through the water, which creates its wake, which is really how a fish is going through the water. So they really took their time and designed that for that purpose. And so that's one of the really unique design qualities that that makes this thing so different and so unique. This new Flex Phantom has a patented bite chain system on it. And really what that allows this bait to do, it starts about halfway back. And it's got 8 different joints on it. So it can flex all the way, almost reaching the bait itself again. And what that does, it creates such a lifelike action in the water. It basically looks like a soft plastic swim bait with all the qualities of a hard bait. So it's really unique that way, where you don't have to sit there and worry about breaking, messing up lures or redoing it. It's going to work after 5 fish. It's going to work after 500 fish. I mean, it stays with its quality all the time. One of the neat things about it is its bill on there. And most swim baits, you can't work very fast. Almost 100% of all soft plastic swim baits, you have to work very slow. That's one more thing that they thought of. And with that bill, it actually acts a little bit like a crankbait, to where you can reel this thing as fast as possible, which is basically like how I like to work it. The reason that is that so many of the fish are so used to seeing bait fish go real slow and people working their baits real slow. But in reality, that's not what the fish are doing down there. So it gives me a chance to throw it out there, reel it as fast as I want to, get it down to the depth. It goes anywhere from 2.5 to 4.5 feet, basically based on the line capabilities and how much line you have out there. The paint job on this bait is pretty unique. It's got this one itself is actually my favorite color to throw, and it's got a very translucent look to it. So it doesn't have a lot of flat colors on it to where it looks a little gaudy in the water. It really picks up well in the water, and this is one of the main reasons I love throwing this bait, because I can just work it and use it in basically clear water and muddy water, and it still looks really natural. So the Strike Pro Flex Phantom comes in 3 different sizes. It comes in the smaller size, which is the 3.5-inch size. This is the middle size. It is a 5-incher, and then they have the largest size, which is 6 3/4 inches. This is one of the reasons why this bait is in my tackle box. Basically, any lake I go to, anytime I go fishing, I have this tied on. But underneath the water, it's basically looking just like that. So it's got a real wide wobble, and then that tail's got a real fast action, just like a normal fish would. Or you can work it that slow, or I love to work it that fast. And what's great is you can see I can reel it basically as fast as I want to, and it's going to hold true. It's going to stay on that same course. And a lot of baits like that, when you reel them real fast like this, you can tell they'll try to go up on the sides and stuff like that one. That one just stays true the entire way back to the boat. And so that's one of the neat things about it. What I've learned is we have a lot of grass down here in Texas, and just really on a lot of different lakes. And I just like to find that grass that's 2, 4, 5, 6 foot underneath the water, and just throw that over that grass and tick that grass. However, you can't always know when that's going to happen, and some of that grass grows up a little high. And it's taken me a while, but when you reel it down there, you can kind of feel when you get to that grass, and most people, when they hit that grass, they want to jerk on it. And that's actually not what you're supposed to do. When you get hung up in that grass with this bait, the easiest thing you can do is when you throw it out there and you're reeling it down and it gets hung up, just raise your rod and just start shaking it like that. And you can get it down there and it comes right off. You get hung up in that grass like that, and you just give it a whole bunch of slack and pop it, and that thing will back up right on out of the grass and just float up. And a lot of times 20-30% of our bites come when we're stopping it and shaking it out of that grass, and as it's rising, you can feel them just go in there and inhale it. And what we found with this bait, most swim baits, and you'll hear about this from a lot of different people, most swim baits will get tons of bites. You'll get bites, you'll miss fish, you'll see fish following it, and that goes back to the whole deal about how fast it goes. That's one of the unique things, and I've talked to a lot of people that have asked me about how do you get fish to not follow a swim bait, and I've never had this problem with this bait. I can honestly say out of 100% of the time, if I get it bit on this bait, I caught the fish. I never see one following it because usually I'm working it so fast, they don't have a chance to follow it. They come up and eat it. They eat it on the first time. You almost never get bit on it and not catch a fish. And that happens with so many swim baits. People always talk about them hitting it and they see it following it and they can't get it to react to it. That's one great thing about it. I was talking about the speed of it. I can throw that out there, reel it as fast as I want to. And when I'm doing this, it's all of a sudden when they hit it, they load up on it and you just don't get many bites on it. They eat it every time they hit it. And so that's one of the really unique things I loved about it. And one of the first things I noticed right off the bat was that I could throw it out there and never have to worry about fish following it or missing it or any of that stuff. When they want it, they go and eat it. The next lure I want to talk to y'all about is called the Flex X. And it's basically a swim bait style bait as well. But most of them are shad imitated or anything like this. This is more or less a minnow imitation. It has the same qualities as the Flex Phantom. It has the bike chain system in it as well. It has a couple more joints in it though. And this thing actually bends over even more. So I mean, you've got the same action just like that. It has a bill on it as well. It's got a real tight action to it up front, but this thing really moves in the back a lot. And so when you're reeling this, I mean, your whole rod tip and everything's just vibrating and going crazy. Because I mean, it's just trying to, as you can tell, that lip on it's just built so different. It's straight up and down. So it's really creating a lot of water movement in the bait movement in the water and pushing water rather than going through it. This bait comes in two different sizes. It comes in the larger size, which this one is. It's 4 3/4 inches, and they have a smaller size, which is 4 1/4 inches. And so it basically, will resemble any type of minnow type bait. And I really like throwing this bait. This doesn't go on top, and it doesn't really go on the bottom. I mean, it goes basically anywhere in between. It sinks. So if I want to throw it in a foot of water, I can throw it in a foot. If I want to throw in 30 foot of water, I can let it sink down to 30 and throw it there. And that's one of the really unique options of this bait that you can use. Basically, you can fish it any depth you want to and anywhere you want to. If you want to throw it in 2 foot over grass, you can keep it up high and throw it there. If you want to kind of get it real close to the bottom, you can work it almost like a crankbait on the bottom, So it's got a lot of different. It's really versatile bait that we like to throw out here a lot. Well, I've noticed that there's not a single lake in the nation that doesn't have a minnow in it, and this is basically the perfect bait you can throw to mimic anything like that. Working this bait is pretty simple. I mean, you can just throw it out there, hold the rod tip up high if you want to. Like right now, there's a lot of grass out there. And I can just keep it right over that grass and reel it right back in. That grass edge kind of starts right there. So I can really just throw it out there, let it sink. And that's about 3 foot. And just kind of keep it down there. It's not that it's heavy, but you can kind of, once it gets down to a certain depth, it stays down there. So that one actually, when it comes up closer to the boat, it's actually coming up from deeper water. Or like I said, you can throw it over grass and keep it high. And that grass isn't but 6 inches underneath the water. And it comes right over the top of it, doesn't get hung up. The next bait that I want to talk to you all about is the Strike Pro Boogie Walker. It's got a couple little different unique features to it. It's got a cupped lip to it. It actually spits a little bit of water while you're working the bait, and it sits different in the water. And I want to talk to you all about that for a little bit, because that's something that they tried to do and worked hard on. And basically that bait sits up and down in the water, and you actually can only see just about the head of it as it's sitting in the water. But what that allows it to do is, when you throw that bait out there, and especially with the color like this, as that bait's walking the dog action through the water, most baits stay just like that and they stay the same. This one actually rolls a little bit, and so you're seeing a whole bunch of the side of this bait show down in the water, you know, so it's really, the color really matters a lot in this bait. So when you're working it out there, it'll actually come up, walk the dog, and move a little bit on top and underneath the water at the same time, which is really different when you think about other style of baits that don't do that. They basically just sit right on top of the water and don't have a lot of side-to-side action and a lot of movement up underneath the water as well. And this is one of the baits that we throw, you know, basically everywhere, schooling fish, over the grass. I mean, it works all year round. I mean, we throw it everywhere, everywhere we go. It's one of those other baits that I basically have tied on every lake I go to. It's just always one of those baits I'm gonna throw just to see if fish are around, because it's gonna let you know real quick if fish are in the area. The next bait I want to talk to y'all about is actually one of my favorites. It's Strike Pro's Aquamax Popper. This is the size they're making. It's a 1/4 ounce popper, and it's actually new for the 2012 season. And so it hadn't come out yet, but I've got one of the few ones in production. And this thing, I've got to play around with this bait quite a bit. And one of the first things I noticed about it was the size of it. And I thought that was pretty unique. I didn't really know what to think about it, about how small it was. And a lot of other baits like this are just a tad bit bigger. And I threw this for the first time, and after the first pop or two, it really blew me away to have a bait this small create an action in the water and create a splash in the water that was really like no other. Usually you have to go to really big baits to create a splash as big as this one did. And I thought that was really unique, and I was really happy about that, because, you know, a lot of the way we catch fish, you know, at different times of the year, we're on a lot smaller fish, a lot smaller bait fish. A lot has to do with the shad spawn, and usually when the shad spawn's going on, they're after really small bait fish, and they really won't touch anything really that big. And so this bait right here is really unique in the size of it, and basically they get all that water splash and everything from its teardrop mouth. As you can see, it's really unique. It's really got a different size or a different shape to it, and it creates a lot of spit in the water. Right now we're just going to go ahead and throw this out there, and I'm going to kind of show you a little bit about what I was talking about earlier. Like I said, that bait was really small, and as you can see, the splash it can make and spit. I mean, that's spitting sometimes 3 foot of water for a bait that was smaller than my thumb. It's just really unique. Some of that water is actually getting up to 1.5 foot, 2 foot of height to it. You know, like I said, you can work it fast, and it gives a good splash every single time. But you can work it, you know, a lot more subtle. You can get that little, just where it really doesn't spit that much, it kind of just moves a lot of water. Or you can get it to where it spits water way high up in the air.
Thank you for viewing our Strike Pro presentation. I hope we have educated you more on the Strike Pro line of lures and what they can do for you on your next fishing adventure. Remember, Strike Pro Lures, where we are always casting into the future.